Hey y'all, welcome to the Gone Outdoors podcast. Thanks for joining us. This is the place where we talk about all things hunting and fishing. As we like to say, if it's going on out there, then we're talking about it right here. So let's get after it with the latest episode.
Welcome back to the Gone Outdoors podcast on, yes, another rainy Thursday morning in Madison, Georgia. I think we've seen enough rain. Our phones are ringing off the hook. Folks want to go fishing. But I do have a great friend of mine on the phone, somebody I've known a long time. And I don't say this lightly, but I just say it truthfully. Donald Jarrett, number one turkey hunting freelance writer that we've had for a long time. It is a pleasure. Donald, you on the phone, brother?
I am.
I
How
hear you, man. I'm good, man. You tired of the rain?
Good.
Birds don't like to gobble in the rain, do they?
No, but they live in it every day, and yes, I'm tired of it, and I'm sure they are too.
That's right.
Everybody is.
Hey, maybe they're getting pushed to high ground, right?
Yeah, I don't think they have a choice right now.
That's exactly right. So you actually, before we got on the podcast, you've already been listening. You said, right?
Yeah, I've been out quite a bit. Not as much as my work schedule would allow, but yeah. And then of course, most of the days I'm off, it's raining, so I hadn't heard a lot of birds, but hearing a few.
Yeah, well, good. And you're listening on, no secret, anybody who reads your writings, it's you love Cedar Creek.
I do.
That's just where you grew up in Putnam County, so you love Cedar Creek, and
right.
of course Cedar Creek doesn't open until, I don't know the exact date, but it's in April. This is the second year they've done that.
I think it's the 4th this year, I think.
Yeah. So you
4th,
haven't.
I think.
Yeah. So you hadn't been listening on Cedar Creek. You've been kind of focused on the Oconee National Forest, I guess, right?
Yeah, I've been going to places that I know that I can get into, right off the bat. I will hit Cedar Creek before the season opens, I'm sure, and try to find a time to get in there, even if it's during the 2-week delay. But I've got some spots there I'll hit a little bit later. But right now, pretty much focusing on national forest land. Yeah.
Well, that's good. So what? How long you been? You do this every season. I start joking with you about like January 1st, being like, "Hey, man." Birds gobble this morning, and you're like, "No, man, shut up."
not quite.
so when
it was interesting. I did hear birds the 24th or 25th of January off my back deck, but I think some people said he was confused. So
yes, very confused. Yeah, that's right. So in all seriousness, you were like the most serious, dedicated turkey nut, or one of them. There's several, but you were right up there in the top of the class. When did you start trying to go out seriously in the mornings and listen for birds? Because today is it's March the 5th, so you wanted to go this morning, but you got thundered out. So
yeah,
when did you start?
This year I started right around Valentine's. It was right after I got back from Nashville. Valentine's was when we were at Grand National Convention in Nashville. When we got back that following week's when I started. And the reason I started then is just pretty much standard for me by the end to start looking for birds, listening for birds, scouting, picking up the scouting. And the reason I did that is because so many years in the past, all the way up to last year, I've located birds that were starting to break off into smaller flocks, gobblers and hens together, strutting, gobbling, the whole work. So you can find a lot of cool stuff starting, and maybe even sooner. That's just usually when I start, though.
So Valentine's Day is kind of your time to go and start getting serious, huh? So gotcha.
That's right.
Well, how's the gobbling been so far?
Not strong, and that's okay. I don't put a lot of worry into it. A lot of people worry, they're going to be done by the time the season gets here, and I just don't believe that. I think that they're right on time every year. You may see them doing different things at earlier in the year based on warm weather and no rain and so forth. But bottom line, it's all about daylight. It's just like rutting bucks. They decrease in daylight triggers it, and increase in daylight triggers the gobbling activity and the breeding of the hen and all. And it's just not going to happen until the hen says so. It's just the way it is. So it's never late. It's never early. It's always right on time. Now, how they gobble from when you're to the next can be affected by a lot of things. So I don't put a lot of stock in it. I just use gobbling right now strictly for one purpose, and that's just trying to find where some birds like to be.
Find turkeys right now, right?
That's it.
That's right. Well, that's interesting. I'm sitting here thinking about all the things that affect gobbling, and you can worry about this and worry about that. But everything you mentioned is like it's all Mother Nature. It's all
That's
God.
right.
So it's like, hey,
That's right.
don't worry about it. Just go hunting, right?
Yeah, no sense in adding stress to what can be a stressful situation anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. So good attitude. Just go. So in fact,
That's it.
folks call us all the time. Astro tables are a good thing, a cool thing, and a lot of people believe in that, and that's awesome. But a couple old timers say the best time to fish is just when you can go fishing. So
That's exactly right.
So
same thing with turkeys.
Right, absolutely.
I get asked that a lot. When's the best time to turkey hunt? Every chance you get.
That's right.
It can happen all day long.
Between March and May the 15th in Georgia, any time you can go is the best time to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, good. Well, you and I met. I don't know, man. I should have gone back and looked. You and I remember the day we met. Do you remember that?
You'll have to remind me. I can remember back in that time frame, but I'm not exactly the exact day or how we did.
You for I don't know how many years you had been friends or acquaintances, or you had a work relationship with Darrell Kirby. And Darrell's my managing editor, and he's been here for 30 years. And we had moved to Madison at the time, and that was in 2000, as a matter of fact. And you had come up, I guess, living in Eatonton, came up to see Darrell, and then Darrell introduced you to me. I remember you walking in my office there. You just looked like a turkey hunter to me. And at the time in 2000, I wasn't even married yet. So I was like a little mini Jarrett, running around turkey hunting and going, because back in that day, that was my thing. And of course now it's 2020, and I got two daughters, elementary school and high school, and so time is
it's flying by.
Yeah, and your three kids are out of the house and grown, so you are wide. That's right. So you wide open doing your thing, running around chasing turkeys, which is fantastic.
That's right.
So
that's right.
So Darrell walks in. He's like, "You got to meet this guy. This Donald Jarrett. He's as silly about these turkeys as you are." And I'm like, "I doubt it." So anyway, man, you have surpassed, as nutty as I have ever been about chasing turkeys. You have surpassed that monumentally, Donald. So,
well, I'll have to say on that note, it was never my intention. It was all out of my control. I never planned it. It just happened, and I do love it. And you talk about taking it serious. I do take it seriously, but at the same time, I got to understand it. It's just it's to keep it fun at the same time. Saying I've always managed to do that, so. It is what it is. It's taking me where it's taking me, and I still love it as much today as I did to start with.
I think you may love it a little more.
That's possible too. I guess it never gets old. I know that.
I love seeing you chase them, man. It's great. And we tease each other about, well, I guess I'll see you in May, and so. But hey, that's just what you do, and man, God's really blessed you as well because
wow.
Because you're now. Tell me what you're doing. You've got a couple of companies that have seen what you've been up to over the last couple of decades, and they've reached out to you. One of them is one of our advertisers. That's Pistol Creek, right?
Absolutely. Worked with Pistol Creek. John approached me last year, actually, and asked if I would be interested in becoming a member of what they call a Creek Bank, which is their version of the Prostaff. And we talked about it for a good bit. I told them I needed to think about it and pray about it, and I did, and I did end up with Pistol Creek, and that's been a blessing. Super guys, great people to work with, and make a super call. I mean, love them. If I didn't believe in their product, I just couldn't do it.
Sure.
That goes with anybody or anything. So firmly stand with Pistol Creek. Love what they stand for and what they do, and the call is just a bonus. It's a great family atmosphere.
Yeah. Dave, John, and Pistol Creek, they've actually got a booth at our Outdoor Blast, and I actually got to meet with him last year, super fella, and
Yep,
just
absolutely. Yes.
looking forward to what the future holds for John and Pistol Creek, and you as a part of that. And you actually worked his booth. You mentioned going to Nashville. You went to the Grand National NWTF show up there, and so you worked
Right.
his booth. But you also own I don't know your exact title, but it may be pro staff with Mossy Oak as well, aren't you?
That's correct. I'm Mossy Oak Pro Staff, Pistol Creek on the Creek Bank, and Pro Staff with Jeff's Chokes. So I stay busy, and then of course my home. I always say my home and my roots are at Georgia Outdoor News. I mean, that's where it all kind of started rolling for me. It's just been a ride, and I think about how this happened and how it started. Is my passion for turkeys is something that was beat into my head there for the first couple of years. A guy told me, he said, "Man, you gotta go. And I'm like, I don't care anything about it. He said, you gotta try. You just got to. So he stayed on me for 2 years, and a good friend of mine, Cal Marsh, and we I finally relented. I said, all right, I'll go. Just to shut you up, I'm going to try this. But I'm going to tell you, the first minute I heard a turkey gobble that morning, I said, I've been missing something really special here. And I got hooked that morning on the first turkey I ever heard gobble. And I'll never forget, it was up in North Georgia mountains. But that opened doors for me, and it took a little while and some roads to figure out that, it wasn't necessarily the turkey. That the Lord put that in my heart. He put that passion there. It's not something
that's
that
right.
I dreamed up, and He put it in there, and boy, He has used that as a way to open a lot of doors for me. And as a result, I think my responsibility is to be the vessel that He wants me to be, and to each his own, their own beliefs and thoughts. But that's mine, and I will stick to that. I'm very, very humbled to be a part of these companies I work for. And somebody told me when I got on with Mossy Oak, they said, "Man, you really hit big time." I said, "No," I said, "it really doesn't make me anything special, but it makes me part of something that is." And I feel that way about all the people that I work with. So
Yeah.
real blessed, no doubt.
Well, so I mean, you opened the door for we'll run this spiritual rabbit a second, man. You nailed that beautifully, because here's the thing, it's like you did not dream up on your own to have a love and passion for turkey hunting. God instilled that in you, and now
I believe that.
I believe that wholeheartedly. And now you see you've got connections with Mossy Oak, Jeb's, Pistol Creek. And now, I just did a lesson on this with some high schoolers yesterday. We're to use those things as a platform to give God the glory. So that's exactly
That's
what you're doing and what you're talking about. And I think it's fantastic, man. So, and I tell you, John, we tease and joke and have a great time together. But you've been humble through the whole thing, and it's been awesome. Really, to me, from just an editor up here sitting in a middle of a cow pasture in Madison, Georgia. It's just been kind of neat to watch that journey, and also see where God's going to take you in it. So, so fantastic stuff you got going on. I should have counted the number of articles you've written for us, and it's been every spring since we first met, 2000-ish, 2001, sometime in there.
Yeah.
I think you've been a freelance writer for us ever since. I don't know how many articles you've written, and one of the things
I don't know.
one of the things I joke with you about every year, it's like, Donald, how many ways can you kill a turkey? It's just like, and you come up with these
Just one.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you come up with these new ideas every year, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. That would be a good article. I don't know how you do it, man. You must do a lot of thinking
Well,
out there from March to May.
if you'll remember, you asked. I remember you asked me that question, and I said it's all about the passion, and I think that's what it relates to. If I ask you to write 10 articles on how to kill a rabbit, you could do it. I couldn't. I'd go turn the dogs loose, wait till he runs across and shoot him. But you got it all figured out. You know the deal from start to finish. I just grew up kicking bushes and shooting them when they ran.
Right.
But the deal with it is all about the passion for me that has really grown from day one, and it's still growing. I think that from where it started with me was from the turkey hunting to writing a book to being introduced to you and getting into the freelance writing, from guiding in South Dakota to other places across the country to getting on these pro staffs. It's a humbling thing to me. It's not about me, and it never will be. And I think you have to stay humble in this industry. If you're not humble, you won't be around long. I know I've seen people fall to the wayside because of their own personal interest that kind of knocked them out of where they needed to be, and it's cost them. And I don't want to give any of these things up. I'll just keep seeing where it ends up. But it just never gets old, and I just want to take care of it.
Be a good steward of it. So
exactly.
Humility has led to your success. That's a good word for today for sure. So, well, that's good. So just kind of fresh out of the box, brand new article just came out in the March issue of GON, and also online at gon.com. And let's just talk about this, because this was a great article, because it reminded me of some of my earlier days too, because I love to hear myself run a box call or mouth call or whatever. And we actually called this article, "When Turkey Calling, Sometimes Less is More." And really it's 5 calling lessons that you yourself have learned the hard way. And I've got the magazine open right now, and I love to talk about this one. Lesson number 1: overcalling. So you can actually overcall to a turkey, Donald?
I can. I've seen me do it many times.
I was going to ask you, just once or twice?
No, I wasn't going to get into the exact number, because it's embarrassing, but it still happens today. It's all about reading the bird, and that's kind of critical, and it's kind of tough to do sometimes. But overcalling is a cardinal sin, and it happens a lot.
On calling a turkey, you had just mentioned you have to read a turkey. What do you, and we read that a lot and hear that a lot. What do you mean when you get out there, you get set up, bird maybe he's gobbling on a roost, and he flies and he hits down and you call? What does it mean how do you specifically read a turkey in as far as determining how much to call to that bird?
That's a good question. To me, it's about checking a bird's temperature, and that just simply means figuring out what kind of mood he's in. And that's not always easy to do either, but I always start soft and go aggressive if I need to, and lift the bar as I need to. And I've always told people, and I still hold true to this, it's been true for me my whole career, that the least amount of calling that I can get away with, the better off I'll be. Now, the least amount of calling might be an awful lot, but if a bird is gobbling just a little bit, then I'm not going to call too much. It just seems to go hand in hand. That's not to say you can't pick up the volume sometimes and heat him up, but for the most part, if he's not gobbling much, I'm not calling much. If he's cranking hard, then I can get away with a little more. But I think that I'd hate to say 100% of the birds, but most of the birds that hang up on us are something we do, and overcalling is one of the most. I don't know. It hangs a lot of birds up. So, and I still do it, and everybody's going to do it every now and then. But I just think checking that temperature, seeing what kind of mood he's in, trying to stay in the happy zone. If you get outside of it, you can make him stop.
Sure. Well, we all dream of the suicidal 2-year-old gobblers that, man, they just gobble their heads off, and
sure.
And they come, you call, they gobble, and they come in, and you shoot them. But
no, that's ideal.
It is. Now, how often does that really happen?
On the course of a season, I run into an awful lot of turkeys, but I'm hunting an awful lot of places, and it's hard to put a number on it. I would say over the course of the season, if I hunt, 60 days or whatever it is. Or maybe even more than that. It's just going to happen a handful of times. Now, keep in mind, everybody talks about that suicidal 2-year-old, and that's great. But the right bird, right day, right situation, and you being careful not to overcall, you can have screaming suicidal 4-year-olds as well. I mean, I had screaming suicidal 4-year-old come in on opening day last year here in Georgia, he was roosted a good 500 yards away, and I knew it, and I still did not go to the roost area because I knew where he liked to be, and it worked out. Made me look like a genius at the time, but that was just through homework and scouting and so forth. But I didn't have to call a lot to the bird. Every time he gobbled, he was closer, and he gobbled all the way in and died. And he was a 4-year-old bird. It's just, homework and patience is really key.
Yeah, and you've written this time and time again. If he's coming, shut your mouth, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's just no sense in telling him to do something he's already doing.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So what is the number one reason that people overcall, you think?
I think it's all about the gobble. If we hear turkeys gobble, we get excited, and we should. I mean, that's why we go. If turkeys didn't gobble, I don't know that I would hunt them. But when you hear that gobble, it makes you want to call more. It gets you fired up. You get to want to talk back and forth to it. That's one great thing about turkey hunting is carrying on conversation with the bird. And then what he says is electrifying. So it gets under you a little bit and gets you out of whack and you kind of lose track on what you're supposed to be doing. You're trying to call that bird up, not just make him gobble. And sometimes the two don't necessarily go together. The more he gobbles, the more excited we get, but then the more apt he is to put his feet in concrete and just stand there. So,
Sure. So I agree with you. I think people overcall because they love to hear that bird gobble, and it just does something way down deep inside of a man when he hears a bird gobble, right? So it's like, man, I know that I can make this particular cut on this box call, and he's gonna gobble. So, but the other thing that really comes to mind, and I've really just kind of reading your stuff through the years and just being a turkey hunter, right? I've just learned this, that a lot of times that old longbeard, he is not going to run in. He may take an hour or hours before he shows up. And so it's like he's coming. And as I'm sitting here talking to you about this, I think back to those old timers who say, all you need to do is get you a scratch call and yelp a few times and put it down, and I'm going to sit there for 3 hours and he'll be back. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I got that kind of patience, okay? I mean, but how much truth is there to that, though?
Oh, an awful lot. I think that's something you have to keep in mind, that these old timers, a lot of them were the same. They did the old 3 to 5 and set it down and wait, and they killed a bunch of birds. So you can't really argue with them. I do believe, though, that some of those old timers would have killed even more birds had they been a little more versatile too. I don't think it's fruitful to get caught up in one particular way to kill them.
That's a good word.
And I used to be that way. I used to had one gear and it was wide open, and I ran everywhere I went. Every time I heard a bird, got to go. And it's like, hey, call the bird till you let him do the work, and it's great when it works out that way.
You told a story in this article we're talking about that when I read this story, I was like, oh, this is such a great story and such a great teachable point here, and kind of tell me that story. It's about your buddy, and I loved it. He's calling, and the bird gobbles over here, and he goes over there, and then the turkey's back over to his other spot. And this happened 3 or 4 times, didn't he?
Yes, it did. And it was one of those.
Did you name this guy? Did you name it, or did you just say a friend?
No, I did not.
Oh,
I did not.
man, there's probably a reason you didn't name him.
Yeah, because I'll just step up to the plate and take one for the team and say I've been there, done that. But I'm not gonna throw him under the bus. He was, when I told him about it, if you could have seen the look on his face, he would have. It was embarrassing for him. He was like, well, I never really even thought about that. But hey, that's part of the learning process. And it basically, bottom line is that he had a bird going, and the bird would not budge. So in his mind, rightfully so, he's thinking, well, I need to change locations. I need to move on this bird and try to call. He doesn't want to come here. So he had been hammering the bird. The bird gobbled plenty. And so he goes to the next place. Took him, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it was, to get to the next spot. He gets in, gets settled in, sets up, calls. The bird standing where he just left. And he does that again, and the last time he does it, the bird's like, I got other things to do. So he leaves. And the bottom line is just he called the bird in when he shut up. when he quit calling and was moving to the next spot, the bird got a little antsy and said, "Well, I better go check on her." And during that quiet times when the bird made his move, so bottom line is, had he just been quiet a little while and stayed put, he would kill the bird, or at least had an opportunity. But he was very embarrassed about it. But hey, I've done it too.
Yeah. I think we all have. But I just that story right there screams to me patience. And it goes back to reading the temperature of a gobbler too. I think you would agree. And
absolutely.
But yeah, your buddy, who
that was funny.
will remain nameless apparently.
Yeah. And he may read the article and go, "You mean should have told him it was me?" I said, "No, I'm going to tell him I couldn't do it." So
well,
he might pop up in another one down the road.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, but anyway, what a great lesson in just parking it sometimes. But anyway, so that's just one story in here, in this article. And man, I'm sitting here looking at a picture of a mountain bird that you killed.
Long time ago.
Yes, and that was you cut your teeth up around Lake Yona, right?
I sure did, up in North Georgia mountains, just outside of Toccoa, Georgia.
Right, and you hunted up there for a few years before. And how did you end up in North Georgia? Because I know you were raised in Putnam County, right?
My parents were both born in Oconee County, South Carolina, which is just across the river from Toccoa. And my dad's family eventually moved into Georgia and in Toccoa. And so that's the roots there of my family of North Georgia. And spent a lot of time up there as a kid on Lake Yona. My dad and one of his uncles actually tore down an old building where they were going to flood for Lake Hartwell, and they took it across the Lake Yona and built a little cabin on a lot over there in 1956, I believe it was. And we went up every summer as kids, and one day we had to brainstorm between myself and a couple of friends at work about going turkey hunting somewhere. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess I'll give it a try, because my other buddy been aggravating me to death. So
talking about Cal Marsh.
That was Cal Marsh. He aggravated me to death. So we ended up going up there to Lake Yona to try turkey hunting, and lo and behold, it was covered up with them. And that's how I started hunting up there. It didn't matter to me if I was hunting there or the South Georgia swamps or whatever in between. I was going to give it a try, and that just happens to be the place that I cut my teeth and killed my first bird and second bird, and had a lot of near misses and screw ups up there too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was your schoolyard for a long time up there. So
it was. It really was.
That's great. So I don't guess you get to hunt much public land in North Georgia anymore, do you?
Well, and it's funny you say that. I haven't in the past several years, but actually myself and three friends are going up. We're going to hunt Blue Ridge WMA this year.
No way.
Yeah, we're going to go up and give it a shot up there. They've had a couple of good hatch years the last couple of years, and got some friends that have said, there's some good hunting up there, and the birds are pretty good numbers. And I don't know, I kind of miss the mountains anyway, so I figured we'll go up and give it a try. Be hunting something different, and we'll go up there and hunt it a few days and see how it works out. It might be something we turn into an annual thing if it's as good as we hope it is.
So y'all going to camp in the campground and all that, or?
No, we're roughing it. We've rented a little cabin up there. So
okay. Okay, yeah. Oh, I may come with you then. That's why I was asking. So
come on, there you go.
I hear you. So Blue Ridge WMA, I've been up there back in the day and turkey hunted and deer hunted some. And you do understand it's a little steeper than Cedar Creek, right?
Yeah, it's going to take me back to the Yona days. The advantage, though, is that Yona, when you're hunting from a cabin on the side of a lake or coming out of a boat to climb the hill, it's all uphill. You're already at the bottom. So at least I can ride some roads and start from the top and work my way down.
Right, absolutely. I truly and genuinely hope, Donald, you don't get up on top of a mountain and look around and think to yourself, what in the world have I done?
I probably won't. As long as birds are gobbling, it'll hit me when I'm walking back up. That's when it's going to hit me.
Back when we had the TV show back in 99, 2000, I followed a boy up at Swallow Creek turkey hunting. I was filming him, and I'm telling you, man, he was an old, he was a ridge runner, and
Yeah.
I had that moment like, what in the world have I gotten myself into? So, but I guess if he gobbles, you're going to be overtaken by
the adrenaline will be the first thing.
That's right. Now, you may ask yourself that that evening, but no. But seriously, I think it's fantastic.
It's gonna be fun.
Kind of on my bucket list. I don't know if I'll ever do it. Is the big Cohutta WMA hunts that they do.
Yeah.
Is just to hike in, and I think that's really cool that people hike in way back in there and kill a deer or a bear or whatever. And I mean that's. Man, you talking about getting one-on-one with God's creation, no vehicles, no nothing.
That's right.
And
that's why they call it wilderness. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. So that's cool you're going to Blue Ridge.
Georgia's got so many vast, diverse properties that it's a shame to just sit in one spot and they take advantage of them from time to time, bounce around the state. Got a lot to offer, and I think that, obviously just because of Mother Nature, some years are better in certain parts of the state than others, and they've been enjoying some good hatches up there the past few years. So the bird numbers are in pretty good shape, and we'll go up there and just hunt something different, something that kind of take me back to the roots, so to speak. So a lot of good hunting in Georgia.
Absolutely, and I put in for quota hunts every year, or actually the last couple of years I've just been building my priority points, and there's a brand new WMA that came up, and it's called Ceylon. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's down on the coast, almost down there by Fernandina Beach and Amelia Island, right down there near Florida. And I'm actually going to be on that first hunt, first week of April, so I'm excited about that.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah, I've got kind of worked it out. It's my kids' spring break, so we're going down there. They're going to see St. Simon's, and I'm going to go see if I can kill me a turkey. It's been a few years.
Man, that's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. So, but so just real quick before we wrap this up, Blue Ridge, very cool. I know you'll be on the National Forest around here opening day, and you'll get to hit Cedar Creek some in April. So what other turkey hunting plans you got this spring?
Oh, well, I'm going to head up to South Dakota and in Nebraska and hunt that. Be at my old stomping grounds there. South Dakota's kind of home away from home for me. So many years up there guiding on the prairie, and so not in the Black Hills area, in the prairie unit on Missouri Breaks in Gregory County, and we have property in South Dakota and just across the line into Nebraska, so I can hunt either state, provided you have to get drawn for the tag in South Dakota, but it's an over the counter deal for Nebraska. So I'm gonna hunt those, and then come home for about a week, and then I'll head to Texas and hunt there.
Oh wow, man, that's fantastic. So that's kind of an annual for you, isn't it? I mean, you tend to go out of state every year, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I try to incorporate. Sometimes try to do a different state, a state I hadn't hunted, or one I hadn't hunted in a long time. Last year, went up hunted South Dakota, Nebraska, and then dropped through into Kansas and Oklahoma, and home from there. And so sometimes the loops are really cool. Got to hunt North Carolina last year. That was a new state for me. So try to add a new state every now and then. I don't think I'll ever get the U.S. Super Slam, but I'm just enjoying hunting new ground.
Oh, that's great. How many states have you killed a bird in, or do you know?
I would have to look it up. I'd say maybe 15, 16, something like that.
Oh, that's great. Now, you going to Florida? You usually go to Florida. You going to Florida this year?
Not going. Need to go back. I joke around all the time. I said I've built up numbers of birds and other subspecies, and it always gives me an excuse to go back. So every time I kill an Osceola, I get to complete another slam. But I thought I was going to go down there this year, but I did not.
How many slams do you have now?
I have 5.
Wow.
I could kill, if I killed, I was joking with Lynn Stanford, a good friend of mine the other day, who's also a turkey killing machine. He and I were talking about going to Florida, and he talked about maybe going down this year, and I told him I just couldn't. But I think if I kill 10 more Osceolas, I will have I think 15 slams. So
So you just need to kill a bunch of Osceolas.
it might take me 10 years to do it, the price of those hunts. But yeah.
So you do have something really exciting coming out as well, Donald. You had mentioned earlier in our conversation about a book, and that funny you say that because I've still got that book on my shelf and saw it yesterday and thought about you.
You
Good
should
book.
read that sometime, Brad. You
I
ought to check
did.
it out.
Hey, I read it, but it's been 20 years ago when
Yeah,
you
it's been a
gave it
little
to me.
while.
But
That's right.
you know what? I think you're due for a new book. You know what I'm saying?
I am. I actually, the demand, for whatever reason, I can't even remember how it got started back. Well, I do remember John Browning, a friend of mine that
Pistol
runs
Creek,
on
yeah.
Pistol Creek.
Yep.
Yeah, he and a friend of mine in South Georgia, Jonathan Barber, who lives down around Pembroke, and then we hunt around Savannah together every year and in the swamps. And he just does. Out of the goodness of his heart, got with John, had John build a call for me, and when I got the call, it was a glass call, and underneath the glass on the soundboard was a drawing, an illustration of a strutting gobbler that came from my book that I wrote in 2000, and a beautiful call. And I was like, man, you guys are nuts, And I posted a thank you on Facebook, I think it was, and when I did that, all of a sudden I started getting, hey, I want one of your books. How can I get one of your books? And I'm like, well, the book's been out of print forever. And
yeah.
Anyway, long story short, the demand is obviously there. I've got an order of about 50 coming in a couple of weeks that I'm going to put out there, and majority of those are already gone. But I'm going to put them out because we're getting the book, the second edition in print. Like I say, should be in hand in the next 10 days or so. So that's pretty cool. I got that going, and then I'm going to get started on book number 2 and 3 and 4 and whatnot. I've got several in the works that I just never have completed. Need to get back on.
Right. So your book is coming back out, and so let's make it real clear and tell folks if they want to get a copy of that book, what do they need to do?
When I post it, and I'll say on here as well, it'll just be a matter of sending me a check and an address to send it to, and
okay.
The final price will be determined here within the week. I don't know what the price of the book will be because obviously want to see what the expense, the total invoice is, and then we'll go from there on the price. But it'll be affordable, and it'll be, it's just Old Country Boy wrote a bunch of stuff. You've read it. It's nothing fancy.
Yep, it's good stuff, though. It's good stuff.
Just a journal basically, but it's story form.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it back out. It's been out of print for a number of years. A good friend of mine, Duncan Dobie, who I know y'all are very, very familiar with, friends with. He's been encouraging me for 3 years to get the book back out. I think it's finally time to do it. So,
well, that's great. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do just to make it easy for our readers to find the book is we will run a press release on gon.com when it is available.
Cool.
But also at the end of
great.
every article, moving forward, we'll put the information in there that, hey, the book's available, and here's how you get a copy, and here's the price, and all that stuff. So,
great.
Yeah, we'll definitely let our readers know because, as being one who read it as a fellow turkey nuthead 20 years ago, I highly recommend reading this book. So a lot of good stuff about Lake Yona birds in there as well. So, but we'll make that information available, Donald.
That'd be great, man. I appreciate that.
All right, I'm going to ask you this last question, just kind of put you on the spot. You've traveled all over the place and seen some cool stuff. So if Donald Jarrett can only hunt, one place for the rest of his life, you pick any species, any state, anywhere, where would that be?
It's not fair. It's not a fair question. I have so much. I really have so much appreciation for each subspecies and for each terrain that those birds inhabit. Of course, I love my home ground. I do. I love Georgia, and that's not just Cedar Creek or National Forest. If I can get on somebody's public ground and whatever, I don't care. Eastern birds at home is pretty sweet, but South Dakota's right up there for me. I just love the prairie. I've got so many great memories, and I've met so many wonderful people over the years through guiding up there, and I did that for 13 years, and and I go. I still love to go every year, but it's hard to beat old Rio out there in Texas Plains or Hill Country and South Texas, and then when you get to Florida, it's a whole different animal. It's just so hard to pinpoint one. But I guess if I had one place and was physically able to keep up like I used to, I'd just go right back to Yona and hunt the mountain.
Oh, how about that? You go home, man. I didn't expect you. I thought you were going to say National Forest Land in Putnam County, Georgia. So that's neat that you say Yona though. That's great.
There's so many great things about just the way a gobble sounds up there in those mountains, and I don't know. It's home. It's home.
Neat.
That's probably where I'll end up one day, is for the old resting place will be up there in those hills somewhere. So that's probably
fantastic. Do y'all still have the old cabin up there, or no?
No, my dad sold it about 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago. It broke my heart. I understand, the reasons behind it, but it still just hurt to let it go.
Sure.
But coincidentally, I met a guy that owns a cabin right across the cove from our old cabin. He said, "Come up anytime you want to." So who knows? One day we'll up there and stomp those grounds again.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, it's good you got that connection for sure. So, and I know that you will enjoy your trip to Blue Ridge. It's been a long time since you've killed a mountain bird, I think.
It has.
So that I can't wait to hear the stories. So, well, that's good. Well, Donald, man, awesome, man. We've just been talking here for more than a half hour about turkeys, and I know you could talk for right.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
So, but I do want to encourage those listening to the podcast, listening to Donald, go to gon.com and just, get in our search bar there and just Google turkey hunting, Google Donald Jarrett. Everything that you've wanted to know about turkey hunting is up there. And Donald, man, I love working with you. And, man, I just look forward to the future and keeping you in this magazine. And I'm telling you, you are a huge asset to Georgia Outdoor News. You really are, in the content that you provide. And although I love to turkey hunt and do all that, and I really do, man, you've got the dirt under your fingernails when you're out there from March to May, and the stuff you bring to the table, man. I know I appreciate it. I know our readers appreciate it. So,
well, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the opportunity to do it. It's never gotten old for me, and I always told somebody else asked the same question about coming up with new stuff. I said, bottom line, it's about passion, and I can sit and talk to that keyboard till I get tired of it, because they don't run off and go, I got somewhere I got to be. The keyboard will listen as long as I'm punching. So
that's right.
I enjoy it, and I do appreciate the opportunity as always. And y'all a family to me.
You're our family. We love you, brother. April issue, you got a story on swamp gobblers. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that'd be a good one too. Wouldn't have ever thought of that, but swamp gobblers. So
yeah, that's a different one. That's no real preview. Just finished that one up yesterday, and I think it turned out pretty good. I think especially the South Georgia boys can really relate to that. They probably tell me I'm wrong in a spot or two, but just my own experience, that's a tough bird right there.
Yeah, well, and I can't wait to read it, because that Ceylon WMA I'm on is down there, and I think some swampy, marshy bottomland. So
I think so too.
So I'm gonna be reading that thing really closely, and I may have a few questions for you before I go. So, but
I'll be here.
All right, brother. Well, listen, Donald, kill a turkey, and send us pictures. If folks want to keep up with you, I know you're always really open to that. You're on Facebook, right? And
sure.
They can friend you and follow you, and just kind of keep up with what you're going. I love following you and watching you and seeing the birds roll and just seeing the reports. And, sometimes your reports are not always glowing. They're like, man, they didn't gobble today, or I messed up, or you just kind of tell it like it is. And, man, nothing wrong with that. So thank you for being humble. Thank you for being real. And I definitely appreciate you being part of this team, Donald. Okay, brother?
Yes, sir, man. I really appreciate y'all. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, we'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, bub.